Okay, so this video is going to be me telling my UCTD story over random footages I took during my extended break from work, aka the last 17 months. These are just muted real-time footages because, yes, like these moments, my UCTD story is non-overstimulating, maybe quite uninteresting, but also not insignificant. This might not make any sense, but hear me out. UCTD stands for undifferentiated connective tissue disease. It is a name used to describe any autoimmune disease that are not characterized into the known connective tissue diseases, such as lupus. An autoimmune disease is a condition where the body's defense system mistakes normal healthy cells in the body as enemies and declares war. This results in a lot of inflammation that may have a variety of manifestations. Depending on where this inflammation battleground is, it leaves ruins large and small. This UCTD label confuses the hell out of everyone. Yes, that includes the rheumatologist who gave the diagnosis and the people who got this diagnosis, me included. I've actually had this diagnosed since around 2017, but it is now May 2023, and I'm only taking this seriously very, very recently, like in this past month or so. This February, I noticed an eye abnormality in my right eye where I see a floating dot after a lot of light exposure. I first noticed it on a snowboarding trip in the suburbs of Seoul. Me, with my old bones and my risk-averse personality, gave up 3 hours into what would be a 5-hour snowboarding day. Sitting in the indoor rest area wearing sunglasses, I enjoyed people watching as skiers and snowboarders get off the slope, making rather smooth or dramatic ending of their runs. I started noticing that I could actually see very well people that are really far away, but I would get this horrible remnant in my right eye after blinking. At first I thought, okay, the floating remnant irregular spot is just a result of too much light exposure. My eyesight really improved. I've been dancing for a whole month, spending less time on the screens, and just in general moving a lot. With the ups and downs in the Seoul subway system and sightseeing, the increased circulation must have helped. However, I kept on noticing this floating irregular shape after light exposure in my right eye well into almost April. So I was getting kind of worried and looked up online what that might mean. Like most internet medical self-diagnosis, I ended up with a panic conclusion. The internet information suggested that I was experiencing a retina detachment. So I went to my eye doctor. He didn't see anything wrong with my eyes, with the images and with direct examination of my dilated eyes. But he recommended a retina doctor in case that I just wanted to make sure. He did say that the retina doctor may not have an appointment available in months. So just to try my luck and to honor my paranoia, I called up the retina doctor and was lucky enough to get an appointment in just 10 days. Long story short, the retina doctor saw a bunch of cotton wool spots in the back of my right eye, which in itself means very little and have no treatment from his part. Cotton wool spots usually happen in diabetes patients where the sugar gets into the crystal ball and damage the local nerves. Inflammation can also do that. And the spots that don't get nutrition from impeded circulation eventually die, and a cotton wool spot forms on the retina and leaves a blind spot. There's no treatment for this eye problem, but to treat for the underlying problem that is causing the diabetes or the inflammation. At this point, I am reminded of this autoimmune inconvenience I've had for a couple of years. I first started seeing a rheumatologist in 2016 after a couple episodes of syncope, prolonged low numbers of white blood cells, and episodes of debilitating joint pain and muscle pain. Not all at the same time though. UCTD was the label they gave me. I remember looking at this name and feeling funny. Wow, medical doctors really just make up names when they don't know what their patients actually have. I found this ambiguous label amusing and ridiculous. It was almost a joke to me. Okay, something is going on in me, but the rheumatologist doesn't know what I have. LOL. And so I continued on my life as if these were just minor inconveniences, except that I go for a 6-month follow-up at the rheumatologist for the next 5 years, and at every visit I get the same memo. Yes, there are serological abnormalities, but we wouldn't be too worried about it. We'll keep on monitoring it. Just let us know if you have any major flare-ups. No treatment, no lifestyle change suggestions, no real name for the condition itself. Heck, it took me 7 years to remember the acronym UCTD. This might be typical denial, but for real, I didn't actually believe something is wrong with my immune system being super alert. Like, it's not like I have a debilitating joint pain every day that I can't function. It might just go away as time passes. Also, if not, what's the big deal? It turns out it didn't go away as time passes, and it is not a big deal. It's just many, many small, tiny deals in which I'm the losing side. My attitude of ignoring it is maybe in some ways helping me to function normally, but it inevitably made me very harsh on myself. Since I myself forget about it, I beat myself to conducting a task even when I'm having a headache, doing an experiment with an arm with limited range of motion, trying to socialize even when I'm really tired, and when the outcome of aforementioned efforts did not meet my expectation of me carrying it out as a normal me, I get upset about myself. The cycle of me letting myself down is disastrous to my mental health. Yes, I was diagnosed with depression in 2015, way before my first rheumatologist visit. Through therapy sessions and me hyping myself up however I can, I've since learned to manage the depression and anxiety, and a lot of the times I blame it on grad school and the nature of doing scientific research. You face a lot more failures than successes, and it can be very challenging on one's self-trust. Imposter syndrome is already a common outcome of first-generation higher education pursuer. This health aspect is only amplifying it. I had a lot of shame of feeling lazy and a lot of guilt when I did not do as much as I wanted. The worst part is that I myself don't even recognize the mental changes as at least partially a consequence of the chronic disease. Duh, because I didn't even think UCTD was a real thing, LOL. I thought what I was going through was just normal. Being tired all the time working as a grad student was normal. Becoming depressed and anxious with a tricky research project was normal. Having stiff neck and shoulder is normal because I have bad posture. And that being bitter and cynical is normal because life is just hard. Not to say life is not hard without chronic diseases, but I major judge myself for being so whiny all the time, not taking into consideration that my discomfort and sentiment may be totally valid. In 2021, I did a postdoc where my project was significantly less demanding than my PhD years, but I was still very low energy and overall sadder than I'd like. At this point, I'm perplexed by this lack of improvement in life quality by reduced workload. So maybe I gotta crank it all the way up to see an effect? I took an extended break from work altogether in 2022. I am grateful that I'm in a situation that I'm capable of doing so, and I'm glad that I did. Keep in mind that at the time I made this decision, I thought all the fatigue and low energy I've been experiencing were due to work-related stress and COVID lockdown mental health crisis, and not at all due to my physical health. Heck, I live a very healthy life, eating minimal processed food, eat lots of veggies, drink a lot of water, don't consume sugar beverages, don't smoke, drink alcohol only socially and occasionally, work out regularly. Yes, I've had some weird episodes that led me to the doctors, but that was probably just me being very sensitive and overreacting, and that if other people go do blood work, they'd find abnormal numbers somewhere as well, right? Fast forward to now, May 2023, I've been traveling and having a good time, connecting and reconnecting with my friends and family. I have not worked for more than a year, not surrounded by work-related stress or potentially health-damaging chemicals in the lab, and yet I'm getting this most noticeable daily life-affecting symptom of having little holes in my retina that throws me off from time to time. Hey Etienne, maybe this UCTD is not as trivial as you've been seeing it. So this time around, I really made an effort to make sense of my 6-year rheumatology lab results. But long story short, it's a futile endeavor. It's like a tricky research project where everything is inconclusive. I offer a hypothesis that this is autoimmune disease A piece of data tells me otherwise. I come up with another hypothesis that is consistent with this piece of information, then another piece of data jumps out and refutes it. Eventually, I run out of hypotheses and my condition remains a mystery. Granted, I'm no immunologist. Immunology was actually my least favorite in undergrad. It was full of alphabet soups and response cascades. Keep in mind I'm a microbiologist, so I'm okay with a normal level of alphabet soups and metabolic pathways. But immunology is just another level. Hats off to all the immunologists and researchers out there doing research on immunology. I hope one day some of you give more defined labels and advice to people in this messy pool of UCTDs. Okay, so I think this long rant is coming to a close. The too long didn't read version would be that having an autoimmune disease sucks. You don't even know what to tell people, because I don't even know what I have. My doctor doesn't even know what I have. But it is there, affecting a lot of aspects of my life. It's like gaslighting, but the abuser is a disease without a name. I watched some videos of people talking about having lupus, and they get, "At least you don't have cancer," a lot. And that saddens me because by that logic, I don't even have lupus. Are my illness even real? I still don't know how I feel about these little things. I don't feel like a victim, but these manifestations sure are annoying. Like, can you stop itching for no reason for a bit? Sometimes I just want to yell at my immune system. Chill the fuck down. It's one of your own. And I don't know how to talk about it with other people either. I've seen examples of people stereotyping chronic disease patients as lazy, sensitive, and unwilling to try. I have a distant relative who is almost a joke among some family members. They talk about her with contempt and laughter and question her life choices of not taking on more responsibilities. She thinks she has lupus for many years. She doesn't have lupus. I used to defend her in these conversations from the perspective of a depressed person, but now I can relate so much more. She was vocal about her discomfort and struggles, and this unbelieving mockery is the reaction from some of the closest people to her. Should I talk about my discomfort and struggles? Does talking about it reinforce the negative stereotype associated with chronic diseases? I honestly don't know. I just wish people are more aware about autoimmune diseases in general. For that matter, I will advocate for myself wherever I see fit. Well, thanks for tuning in for this long and short story of my UCTD journey. By the way, the term UCTD, or undifferentiated connective tissue disease, is somewhat of a relic of an old belief that this is a transient stage of a connective tissue disease that will eventually meet the diagnosis criteria of one of the more than 200 connective tissue autoimmune diseases that have actual names. It turns out the majority of UCTD patients don't, which is good news. I hope mine doesn't. I can live with this. I hope I don't lose more nerves on my retina and that I can see things. Ideally, I wish the fatigue can manifest less, but realistically, I just wish I have reasonable range of motion with all my joints and my retina is well nourished. I will just have to be that girl who lives a perfectly healthy lifestyle, exercise more, sleep more, eat unhealthy food even less frequently. I see how this rigid standard is contradicting an overall more relaxed attitude towards life, which supposedly would help. But whatever. Peace.